Yeah, we're ready.
Yes, we are ready.
All right, good evening. To the Town of Dayton Board of Selectmen's regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, November 19th, and it's at 6:05 PM. We're in person and via Zoom at Old Town Hall, 1111 Somerset Ave, Dayton, Mass. This meeting is being recorded. The listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. We are just returning from executive session, so we're going to have a call to order here to open up the regular session.
Mark Pacheco, present.
And Peter Karen, present.
I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Town of Dayton Board of Assessors Classification Hearing Meeting, November 19th, 2025 at 6:05 PM. And as he said, everything's being recorded. Take attendance. Bill Moore.
Nancy Goulart.
Eric Easterday.
Okay. Lunch.
Yes. Okay. I want to ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to have a moment of silence because we've lost some neighbors and friends that we just want to mention their names.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Like I said, we lost three neighbors this week. Jeffrey Cook, Wayne Domingo, and John Furr. John was a fireman with the Town of Dayton, for those who do not know. Thank you, guys. We're going to get right into this. I know we're going to have an agenda change, which we'll do when it comes time to get to that segment. But if we can start with the tax classification hearing with the Board of Assessors. Hi.
Hello, Bill Moore, Chairman, Board of Assessors. I'm going to talk about why are we here. We're here to set the tax rate for fiscal year 2026, which runs from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. One thing I want to discuss and try to educate people a little better is how did we get here? We are setting the tax rate today, but the tax rate is not determined by us here in this meeting. The tax rate is determined primarily from the annual town meeting and the special town meeting. This is where all decisions about what we're going to spend is made and how much we're going to spend. You'll note that in the first 2 quarters of the year, everybody receives, that being the period from July through December 31st, you all receive an estimated tax bill, which means we have no idea what your tax bill is going to be for the year, and we just estimate it based on the previous year. When we are done tonight, we will finally know the actual number, so that way the Board of Assessors can prepare the actual tax bills for the next 2 quarters that will close out the year. And this is a yearly cycle that goes on. So we have had special town meeting. We now know all of the numbers as to what we are spending. What that is $30 million is what we have to raise. We have about $6 million that's coming in from other sources, that being the state, being funds. There's a 1.5 million being spent out of free cash. We're getting $500,000 out of the ambulance, but the bottom line is we need to raise approximately $24 million in real estate taxes, real estate and personal property taxes. And at this point, I'm rounding pretty much everything tonight, but I'm not going to round this one. $24,042,267. That's the amount that we have to raise. Our Proposition 2.5 limit, which I'll talk about in a second, is $93,011. We are $50,000 underneath the Proposition 2.5 levy limit. Proposition 2.5 levy limit is the maximum amount that we are allowed to charge for real estate and personal property taxes for each year. So this means, I've talked about it in prior years, we are now up against the wall. There is no more room. You cannot spend any more than 2.5% increase on anything coming next year because there's no more room unless there's debt exclusions, Proposition 2.5 overrides, whatever. So I just want to make it very clear, $50,000 within the levy limit. If anyone has any questions about Proposition 2.5 and how it works, please ask me now or ask me privately later. I'll be glad to discuss it. So our assessed values for 2025, fiscal year 2025, was about $1.6 billion. In 2026, it's about $1.7 billion. And I want to boil that down to something that makes sense. In 2025, the average house, the average residential amount of assets was $446,000. In 2026, it's $470,000. That is a raise of about 5%. So residential values went up about 5%. On the commercial and personal property side, and I did have to fudge this number a little bit, and I want to talk about that for just a second. We passed, and as we wanted to, we passed a small business exemption in this year. So what had happened comparing between 25 and 26, we lost a bunch of very, very small amounts. As we discussed, it wasn't even worth sending a bill for, $5 or something like that. So it would have skewed the numbers. So I simply used the same number of people for both, for 25 and 26. It's the only way I could kind of try to come up with some sense of what's correct. So in 2025, the average commercial / property, personal property, 824,000. And in 2026, 848,000, which is a rise of 3%. So to summarize, we've had a residential increase of about 5% in values. We had a commercial increase of about 3% in values. So once again, like last year, residential property values are rising faster than commercial property values. So now we can talk about the shift. So what we are here today to decide as far as the tax rate is the shift. The tax rate is determined by the top numbers I just told you. What we're here to decide is how we're going to balance that between residential and commercial taxpayers. The amount right now, I believe you have this what if worksheet. Is that correct? Yes. If you look up at the right-hand side, a little bit down to lower, it says fiscal 2025 residential. So the current tax is $12.56 for residential, and our commercial tax is $24.51. That's for the prior year. Okay. If we were to go with a single tax rate, meaning not having a shift between residential and business, that number comes out to $13.84. And this is where I want to stress the point of there's nothing we can do to change that number. That was decided at the town meeting. So if we were to go with that number, if we were to go with that number, the average tax bill for a residence in 2025 was $5,600. If we will go with that $13.84 tax rate, it would be $6,500. It would be a $900 increase. If, however, so right now we have a split of 1.75, which is how we got the 1256 to 2451. If we did it again this year for the same amount, you'll see the very last entry on the bottom, which says 1.75. That's as far as we can go, shifting from residential to commercial. That's going from $12 down to $12.45 for residential and $24.22 for commercial. That would result, if we went with that 1.75, it would result in an average tax bill of $5,851, about $250 more in fiscal year 2026 as in fiscal year 2025. By the same token, the commercial would be going from 20,196 to 20,538. So commercial would be about $300 more. So it is, I believe, the opinion of this board Myself, I would like to recommend that we maintain the current tax shift in the amount of 1.75, resulting in a residential property tax rate of $12.45 and a commercial tax rate of $24.22. I hope you guys have questions now.
Yes. Where did the percentage increase of the values come from?
So that we are required to do fair market value evaluations of everything. So that's what Stephanie does day in and day out.
Yeah.
Stephanie in her office is determining what the correct values are for every person's house and every business.
And why did businesses only go up 3% then? Is that counting inventory and
It's based off sales. So,
just sales?
yeah, it's based on
Okay.
previous year sales. That's how we get the values.
Business properties are just not going up. You know,
No,
residential is exploding.
right.
So that's the fun. That was the problem. I don't know if you remember last year, we talked about it. We did change the shift last year
Right.
because the residential prices are going up so much faster than commercial. And unfortunately, you know, we're up against the wall. We can't go any further than 175.
Yeah.
So, you know, it still continues. If, you know, we had a discussion this morning, if it had come in, commercial rate prices had gone through the roof, then we say, oh, okay, now we can start shifting it back towards residential.
Right.
But it's not. Residential is still going way ahead. Commercial did go up.
Yeah.
It just didn't go up as much.
Much. What's the national average? Do you know?
I-
That's all right. It's just.
I'm Dayton focused.
Everything at this point?
If I heard you correctly, the most you can increase taxes is 2.5% increase, correct?
The most we can raise real estate and personal property taxes is 2.5% every year, but that also does not include new stuff.
Not including new growth.
So I'm just talking about, like, if we didn't build anything in town
Mhm.
and everything was the same year over year, it's 2.5%. Okay, but if somebody comes and builds a new house, that's
outside of that.
100% added to.
So for real estate and personal property, the most you can raise, it's 2.5, right? That's what you just said.
The most we can raise the taxes.
Most you can raise the taxes for the levy, it's 2.5%, but we're underneath the 2.5%. Is that what I heard?
By 50,000.
By 50,000. So we're underneath it. So what is our percentage? Is it 2.4? What does that come out to as a percentage
Oh.
increase?
That's an interesting question. Do we have last year's? Do we have last year's? You would have to compare. I was looking at this year, it's the $30 million compared to what was last year.
And this is.
No, that's the values.
Oh,
I'm asking about the, so it's
yeah,
about the tax amount.
I don't think I have any.
Through the chair about the assessing we're looking at, just it's not that it's hard to have a quick calculation because new growth is added in that number. So new growth sort of skews it. So it's probably more than 2.5% because new growth was approximately $290,000.
I think it's more than,
This portion we discussed the levy for 25, so maybe,
oh, what is it?
and that's our starting point.
Okay, yeah. So the levy limit went from, that's the limit. It doesn't say how much.
That's okay.
I recall we were further under last year. I want to say we were like 200,000
Okay.
under
That sounds
last
about
year.
right. Yeah, we're getting closer.
All right. That's where I was getting.
Yeah,
As
we're
you
getting
know, we
closer
use a
faster.
lot of free cash to.
Right. Okay.
For just to be clear for the camera, you know, free cash is basically the amount of money that we have sitting in the bank, and extra monies that had come in that we didn't budget for initially, That all goes into free cash. That amount is certified by the state that this is an amount of money that you can actually spend on things. And in special town meeting, there were some articles, we said, we're not going to raise and appropriate. Raise and appropriate means adding taxes. To spend from free cash means we're just basically drawing out of a bank account that we already have.
Right.
So my understanding is that we spent a lot of free cash this year to keep us under
Yes,
the 2.5 limit, the levy limit.
levy limit. Okay. So the average residential tax bill, if we went with the 1.75 shift, is an increase of about
I
$250.
think about $250. And of course, that's average, for people, big fancy houses, it's gonna be more than that. And people
Right.
living in a trailer, it's gonna be less than that, so.
And with inflation, I would expect, everything's going up. So to have a $250 increase, I mean, it seems like it's keeping up with inflation to me. So that sounds kind of reasonable. But do you know how we compare with the rest of Bristol County, our tax rate?
Again, I'm not,
Did Peter ask that question? I apologize.
No.
not being focused on the other.
I know a lot of, I think a lot of surrounding communities have their tax rates tonight. also.
Right.
I know Berkeley does.
Mhm.
And I think someone else does, so I'm not sure.
Is it true that Dayton, we have the highest taxes, like the highest average tax bill? No, that's not true.
No,
No, that's good.
Do you know how many houses are being built right now that's going to get added to this? How many permits have been?
well, Hunter's Hill, they keep modifying and, I mean, I
Right.
think, and they're going for $799, $699, so they're really high up there, but I'm thinking they probably have 20 or 30 house
Yep.
lots still to build on.
Okay.
I think they had 35. The last time we were out there was the total to build out the original.
Yeah.
I think maybe something that might give you a little light is, how much is the tax bill going up? 4.27%.
Okay.
So it is more
That
than
is-
2.5,
All right,
because we had room last year. No, we don't have room this year.
right.
I believe Hunter's Hill is the only, I want to say, active, viable development right now. Everything else is out there, but not progressing.
I certainly would like to suggest, I try to tell everybody, new residential growth is not good for taxes.
No.
Every time you add a house, you're adding, you're collecting more in taxes. But as soon as there's one child, all that money and then more is gone. Right? You get an average tax bill of $5,000 and send one child to school, that's $10,000. So it's costing everyone in the town more every time you
How
add.
did they come up with that $10,000 figure?
That comes from the amount that DR is charging and
Well, DR, but somebody goes into the elementary school, one person, they don't hire a new teacher just for that one person. So how can we say it's honestly $10,000 gets added to the?
that's like the total budget divided by how many students are in there. And
That,
I'm using it as a rough
Yeah.
number.
the per pupil cost that you hear everyone comparing Acton, Boxborough with, whatever, Dayton, Rehoboth, or it's the Department of Education that looks at all of that. DESE, they were always the ones that set the per pupil rate. When we had tuition students at the regional high school from Berkeley, the per pupil tuition rate was based on the total cost of our budget to operate that high school, 9 to 12, minus capital and transportation, because they were not buying into that building. And they had to provide their own transportation. So the cost to Berkeley for each one of those students was based on what was left, okay? And of course, back in those days, that was before we became a full K to 12. The regional agreement made it clear that when you put the budget together, the first thing you did was take the total budget reduce it by your income from tuition based on the two towns' percentages. Then you started looking at the town's shares, okay? Obviously, there's no tuition, but the actual per pupil cost, not what we were billing Berkeley, but the per pupil cost was something else, and it was determined by the Department of Ed, based on obviously state aid and things like that.
But the number I was quoting was what I've figured myself in the past to be the amount it costs the town of Dayton. So this is after the state aid. The actual cost is 15,000 for DR and 20,000 for BP.
Okay.
So, but my point was just trying to say that
Right.
don't think that adding more housing is going to help the tax situation. It always hurts.
Unless it's senior housing.
I was gonna say,
Senior housing is good as
That's
well
Hunter's
as,
55
as well
dollars.
as commercial, certainly we need more commercial people, business in town to bring down the residential rate. That is our primary, if anybody doesn't know, our primary tax problem in this town is we have a lack of business. You go to someplace like Swansea or Somerset, and they got all the Home Depots and, the Stop and Shops and whatnot, they're paying huge
Chick-fil-A.
taxes.
Chick-fil-A is being built.
In Somerset. The other thing
Home
that,
Depot.
the other thing that was mentioned tonight, when we were doing the districts, obviously the North Dayton Fire District was talking about the fact that the burden for that system is pretty much on the residents up there. Because although they keep billing the mill, they're not making any payments, which is, I'm sure, the same situation the town of Dayton's dealing with. So if it ever gets sold, or if there's any money realized from that property, we're prime creditors. But in the meantime, you have to keep operating.
Right.
And that's what they were saying when they were talking about how they set their water rate, tax rate this year.
And to your point about business and having a lack thereof here in town, this rate, the 1.75 is fairer to the residential homeowners, and it's less business friendly, although it's the best option for the bulk of the folks here in town.
Because I've always been an advocate. I've been wanting to push it the other direction.
Right,
But when you've got prices skyrocketing, it's not fair.
I agree.
If everything were evil, then evil.
It is evil.
It's evil. We're talking about tax. If everything were even, then I think we could have a good argument of saying, well, don't we want to be more business friendly? But it's not even. The residence is going, like I said, we're 4%. And part of that is because residence is going up faster than the business.
Right.
So I don't think now is not the right time to do it. I would like to do it.
Yeah.
No, as a matter of principle or philosophy, I would like to reduce the burden on the businesses, but.
I agree.
And the
Yeah.
businesses pay on the inventory as well?
That's what I was trying to say it, and sometimes a lot of words. There's commercial real estate as well as personal property.
Right.
So the commercial real estate is the same tax that everybody pays, tax on the land, the building, blah, blah, blah. The personal
Also,
property.
have it inside.
Actually, interesting fact, fun fact, personal property applies to everything. But as individuals, we're granted an exemption for everything that's in our house. So we don't have to pay personal property taxes on our blender. But put that same blender in a bar, and now that becomes a taxable item.
Okay.
And the rate applies, it's a single rate to both the personal property as well as the real estate.
Okay, that was the other question I was going to ask you.
And solar farm tax agreements, pilot
pilots
agreements are only for personal property. So that's what you're agreeing, and they're agreeing to pay. This is what you're going to pay for personal property. The owners of the property that the equipment sits on, when it comes out of chapter, it becomes commercial. So immediately, and it has the 5-year rollback, but it also immediately goes from usually a chapter land, which is very low taxes, to the commercial real estate rate. and the owners of that land are taxed on it. So they have to pay the additional real estate tax on the land that solar is sitting on.
So we're gonna keep it the same as, your recommendation is to keep it the same as last year.
That is the Board of Assessors' recommendation, is to keep it the same.
My opinion is to go with that. Unfortunately, we can't put the burden on the homeowner anymore. Dropping the commercial rate would mean raising the residential rate. What little we can drop it is not going to attract new business. If they're not here by now, I don't think they're gonna come for.
I would suggest that if you were looking to attract business,
Yeah.
you probably have to flip it in the polar opposite. You have to make a major change.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
Not sustainable.
We can do at this point, not going to.
And as I said, you're talking about if you were to go with that major change, you're gonna raise $900 for it.
Which,
You know, you will definitely have residents with pitchforks. If that's the case.
more pitchforks?
More pitchforks, yes, more than usual.
Can we text those as personal?
Only if it's a business.
Fine, right?
If the farmer shows up. with a
Ready for motion?
Yeah.
I will make a motion for the tax rate for the town of Dayton in FY '26. The CIP shift of 1.75.
Motion has been made, and I'll sit down as chair in second, so motion has been made and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your presentation.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
See you next year.
Grady.
If there's any questions by you, any member, any public person, come see me anytime.
Thank you.
With a pitchfork.
Please leave.
Liam? Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Grady, we've met. Nice to see you
Sure.
again.
Nice to see you as well.
Aye. Nice to see you. I know you talked to Ralph. This is Mark Pacheco, one of the selectmen here in town. And I know, because I said in on the interviews, everything that you know, that you've told us. Unfortunately, he does not, and the audience doesn't.
Oh, certainly.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. I've been a building inspector since 2005. I'm a certified building commissioner. I've been in construction since I don't even want to say, but for many, many years. Everything, as I told you, everything I own comes from the construction field. So I have a broad-based knowledge of all the technical applications, as well as the codes and standards necessary to enforce Mass General Law, Chapter 48 of the Building Code, the Handicap Accessible Code, and the rest of the state building code.
Okay. Now, you know, it's a 19-hour position.
I do.
With no benefits. And not that we're trying an experiment, we're going from a full-time building commissioner to a part-time commissioner to see if it works out. If it doesn't work out at 19 hours, are you willing to work more hours than the 19?
Certainly.
Okay. And you've agreed with the rate that was established with the.
I have. Yes, sir.
Okay. Mark, do you have anything at this point?
No, I will say the hiring team did share that they were so excited to meet you, and they all had the same feelings when they were done meeting with you, that you were the one. So I'm glad that you applied, and
I felt just as comfortable, so that was good. Yeah,
thanks for taking on the role. And as
certainly.
Jim and Karen said, it is a role that has been changed recently. So thanks for spearheading the change. And as far as that, that's all I have for comments. Thank you.
Okay. Nicole Mello is not here this evening. Third selectman.
Okay.
Numerical order, but and it's unfortunate, but we still are going to ratify your contract this evening and request to appoint you as the building commissioner. She has given her blessing just from the notes that she had received from the town administrator.
Excellent.
I think we're ready for a motion if you're, so.
At this time, I'll make a motion to appoint William McGrady as building commissioner and to further ratify the contract for Mr. McGrady.
Okay, motion has been made. I'm going to step down as chair in a second. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you so much. Pleasure seeing you again. Nice to be aboard. I was gonna come around.
Thank you. Make sure you see the town clerk to get sworn in as
Certainly,
well.
I will.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. We want to take this second to, before we continue with the scheduled appointments, to make a comment. And it's coming from myself, Mark. I did not talk to Nicole, but I have a feeling she feels the same way. At the town meeting, we were misrepresented. What we said was interpreted wrong when we talked about the parking lot for the Council on Aging. We were not anti-Council on Aging. It's not something that we didn't want to see happen. Our biggest concern at the time was the cost involved and how we came about that cost and how it was going to be funded. But we are in no way, shape or form against the senior citizens, against doing the parking lot, against the work that they do there. It's outstanding, and they deserve a lot of credit for the time that they put in. But we just want to make sure that everyone knew, coming from the selectmen, that that is not the case, that we were, as some people spoke that night, against what was going to happen with the Council on Aging building.
I had a statement prepared similar along those lines. Is that an appropriate time just to take a minute to read that? Okay. Good evening. I'd like to take a few moments tonight to speak from the heart, not just as a selectman, but as someone who deeply loves this community. Dayton has always been known as a small town with a big heart. That's not just a slogan, it's who we are. We look out for one another, we show respect, and we come together when times are tough. And right now, these are tough times, especially financially. This current Board of Selectmen, myself, Nicole Mello, and Peter Karen, have been working hard to navigate through uncertainty. We don't yet know what the town's full fiscal outlook will look like, and that means we must be cautious, responsible, and thoughtful with every decision we make. We don't always agree on every issue, but that's okay. A good board should have healthy debate. But even when we disagree, one thing remains constant. Nicole, Peter, and I are united in our commitment to serve the people of Dayton. Every discussion, every vote, every decision is made with our residents' best interests at heart. Unfortunately, over the past several months, we've seen ongoing personal attacks on social media, many of them aimed at my colleagues, Nicole and Peter. These online attacks have gone on far too long, and I want to make myself absolutely clear tonight. I do not condone this behavior, not online, not in person, not anywhere. It is unacceptable. It is harmful. It does not reflect the values of this community. We can and we should disagree. That's democracy. But disagreement must be done civilly. We can discuss ideas without attacking people. We can express opinions without resorting to insults. When anyone uses social media or public platforms to tear down others, to spread negativity, or to divide this town, it hurts Dayton as a whole. The Board of Selectmen works for everyone. Not one group, not one faction, not one voice. We are here to serve the entire community. We are stronger when we stand together. So tonight, I want to call on all of us, residents, former officials, and neighbors, to choose unity over division, to show respect even when we disagree, and to remember that what makes Dayton special is not what divides us, but what brings us together. Because at the end of the day, we are one town, we are one community, and we are strongest when we stand together, with open minds, open hearts, and mutual respect. Let's keep proving that Dayton truly is and always will be a small town with a big heart. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, we're gonna continue. Hi, how are you? With that said, you sure you want to come aboard?
There's a lot of stuff that I was not planning on dealing with tonight. Are we ready for us?
Yes, absolutely. This is a candidate for supportive aid at the prime time, Maria DeRosa. To review, discuss, and act. So request to appoint Maria as a prime time supportive aid. Hi.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to introduce you to Maria DeRosa, known as Mimi to our team and to the elders that she cares for at our supportive program. Mimi was the right person for the job as she has an extensive background in nursing as she was a nurse in the elder care field most of her career. Well, so this is Mimi and we love her and everybody loves her. Who she takes care of. She's already part of the team. She was volunteering for us for quite a few months and we're happy to have her on board.
Great.
I'm sorry it took so long to get here.
Yeah,
One thing after
that
another.
happens.
So would you like to say anything to her?
Sure. Thank you that you want to do this. And obviously you've already gotten your feet wet, so you know what you're getting into, which is nothing bad. They do a fantastic job over there and welcome aboard.
They're very caring and
Sure.
I volunteered there for, like she said, for a few months and that's the place I want to be, where they're caring, compassionate. And I love working with it.
Nice. Okay. Mark, do you have anything you want to add?
What's the best part of the job?
Helping people
Awesome.
and try to communicate and solving problems.
Thank you for joining the team. We're excited to have you.
Thank you.
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Sure.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Maria DeRosa as prime time supportive aide.
I'll step down as chair and second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
If I could take a minute,
Sure.
say something before I leave. I would like to, first of all, I'd like to thank you for your explanation on the misunderstanding. Second of all, I would like to thank everyone who did their part in us being able to acquire that funding for that parking lot, especially Mr. Vitaco, who took it, who led us to where we are here with that funding. Mr. Ferry, who had a big hand in the whole organization of that parking lot. My team, who also helped me in many ways that I can't even explain. And I especially, actually, the Council on Aging would especially like to thank the townspeople who supported us through that evening. The Dayton COA thanks you from the bottom of our hearts, and we wish you a happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for everything. Have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Next one is candidate for Open Space Committee, Glenn Cabbage.
So, Mr. Chairman, I can stay here if it's okay.
Sure.
The Open Space Committee met last week for our usual meeting. As you know, we have 2 open spots in open space.
Right.
We have the opportunity for one of those positions. We were all happy with this interview, his background, his ideas. We're wanting to support what open space does. Some ideas we had for how to do some outreach as well were interesting. So there was a motion made and we unanimously approved him, be a member of the Open Space Committee, and we're asking you to support.
Absolutely. If you recommended him, then I'm comfortable with that. Glenn, how are you?
Very good, sir. Thank you.
I've met you before on the open space, wasn't it?
I think it was actually right here.
Oh, it was right here. Well, why do you want to do this?
Well, I think it lines up and sort of correlates with a lot of my interests, my background, my education, and a lot of the vested interests I have as a
Sure.
homeowner and a father and things of that nature.
Okay. What are you going to bring to open space?
Well, during the meeting, I talked a little about how I'd like to try to generate more interest
Yep.
in the community. And learned how there's a need for more sort of cross-committee, cross-department
Mhm.
communication. I'd love to help with both of those things for sure.
Okay, thank you. Mark, do you have anything?
No, this has been a long time open position, so I appreciate your willingness to serve and I think that other point you meant, as far as the communication, we always appreciate that. So that'll be helpful.
Great.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Glenn Cabbage as a member of the Open Space Committee.
I'll step down as chair in second. All those in favor? Aye. Hey,
Thank you.
congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
See
Jonathan.
the town clerk before your first meeting.
Will do. Thanks.
Thank you.
A motion to take the next agenda appointment out of order.
I will make a motion to take Dan Higgins, planning board member for chapter 43D property designation out of order.
Hi, Dan.
Need a full motion on that? Do we need to vote on it?
Oh, yeah, we have to vote. The motion has been made. I'll step down as chair in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, Dan.
Hi,
Hi.
Dan Higgins, 400 Lincoln Avenue, I'm also the chair of the Economic Development Committee. So a few months ago, Paul Reynolds, who's also a member of the Economic Development Committee, suggested that we look into the state's Chapter 43D, which provides expedited permitting for commercial and industrial development in locations that the community designates as priority development sites. And the intent of the law was to promote economic development generally, to make towns more competitive for business investment, to provide predictable and timely permitting for sites, and to streamline coordination among local boards. So it does not override local zoning. It just requires timely decisions on projects that already conform to local bylaws. When I say timely, I mean this decisions, whether it's a yes or a no, have to be done within 180 days. So that would be the commitment from the town. It doesn't change the zoning. It doesn't affect bylaws or conservation protections. It's just an agreement by the town to make a decision within a predictable amount of time. That predictability, however, can mean a real cost savings to an investor. It also communicates a very business-friendly attitude from the town in the terms of willing to work with the businesses. And equally important to the investor, once a site is designated as a priority development site, it becomes eligible for several additional state grants and priority programs, and that's especially true for hazardous sites, which qualify for multiple layers of additional assistance, environmental assessment grants, grants for cleanup, et cetera. So there are a couple steps in the process. One is the town has to formally adopt the use of the program, which Titan actually did at a special town meeting in 2015. The second is the business site owner has to agree to participate. The third is the town has to designate a specific site as a priority development site. And then lastly, the state permitting agency has to approve it. So how the town designates the site's a little ambiguous to me in that the state's writing of Chapter 43D doesn't specify who makes the determination. So you would think by default it's the selectmen. But apparently the state's permitting agency does stipulate that it be done through town meeting. And I wanted to thank the town administrator for help pointing me to somebody who's been through this before, actually from the town of Canton, who was able to clarify that. So I haven't had an opportunity to confirm that with the state interagency and permitting agency, but I have no reason to doubt that. My reason for actually bringing this up now for something that has to go to town meeting is that the mill on Spring Street is to be auctioned off in December. That is an example of a site with specific areas recorded in the deed as areas of limited use due to previous hazardous dumping. I have been in touch with the realtor running the auction to give him information about the site. I've also tried to spread the word about the auction by reaching out to the Taunton Chamber of Commerce, South Coast Chamber of Commerce, State Office of Economic Development, postings on social media, especially LinkedIn. And both myself and Joe Figueredo, who's also a member of the Economic Development Committee, have personally called anybody who ever crossed our path who said they had an interest in it, just to let them know about the auction. But I would like to be able to go back to the realtor and tell him that not only has the town adopted Chapter 43D, which is a true statement, but that the Board of Selectmen have discussed designating that particular site as a potential priority development site. I'm not asking for any commitment, simply that it be discussed and perhaps that the board says something favorable about it, so that in turn, I can go back to the Realtor and say that he can relay to any potential people looking at the site that the town has this, the town looks favorably on it, or at least is taking steps towards it. It may sway somebody who's on the fence right now to participate in the site, because I think the success of that auction is very important to the town. I don't think you can really stress how important that site is and to the town and to the tax levy, and that it be fully utilized again. I think there's like at most 6 businesses in there, including Pure Oasis, which is going to be vacating. So, and you're discussing this idea tonight is just a step. It's really almost a gesture, really, of recognizing that. But sometimes small gestures can have a big outsized impact.
Sure.
That's why I wanted to bring this up. So tonight, I'm just putting the idea out there to get a feeler from you, something perhaps positive that I can pass to the Realtor and that he can pass along to anybody looking at that site, that the town is, looking to work with any business that does come in there, and hopefully the next owner is somebody that can really utilize that site fully for commercial development.
Okay. Well, you certainly have done your homework, and thank you for that. You guys work tirelessly, and if you guys recommend it, then who have done your homework, what other properties are 43D
in town right now?
Yeah,
I'm not aware of all. I don't think the town's ever designated a site. They just
passed it at the town meeting. Mark, do you have anything?
So you're more of a planning and zoning expert than I am. This is not my expertise at all. So you say that when you make a priority development site, it has a more predictable amount of time, 180 days to make a determination on what?
A yes or no vote by all affected committees, planning, stormwater, conservation. They all have
town meeting, right?
No. This is after the fact. If it was approved, if a site were designated at town meeting, and the state permitting agency agreed, et cetera, when the person comes with the proposition before planning and conservation and stormwater, et cetera, all together as a joint group, the town is no more than 180 days to come up with their final yes, no vote. And
so is there a board that usually comes first with something like this? Is it the planning board typically, or?
There is I don't know if it's a draft or a final document. Carrie Easterday was able to produce a document from 2015 that showed a structure of how this would work in terms of all the boards working together to make sure they hit that 180-day mark. She wasn't sure whether this was a draft that had been done back then. So I would definitely think that needed to be dusted off if we were to go down this road, because
With the chair, if I may help Mr. Higgins a little bit on this, it's like the idea is to run permits concurrently as opposed to successively. For the most part,
we do that now.
My anecdotal experience with Dayton is that most things get done with 180 days. But I think something in addition to that, this will codify it to make sure it does. But the issue is when you're talking about a project like 620 Spring Street, which is a large project, it's not a single home, which can move a lot quicker than a large project that does have. But also the 43 designation of a property does assist the property owner in going to primarily mass development to help with grants. They have a public-private partnership, and that's one of the first things they ask. Is it 43 days? When I was a director of planning, when we were looking at stuff, they had looked at each project. So it does assist the property owner. It gives, and I would say more to the chair, as you know, as I've been on the ZBA, developers want consistency. they want to know, they want to have a schedule. I think with 43D acceptance of it, sort of gives them sort of the reassurance that, okay, we like it to be yes, but we know if it's going to be a no, that it's done in a time, or if it's going to be yes, we know how to get our financing in place because the banks and the contractors all want to know. So it lends consistency to the project, and it opens up the developer to take advantage of some of the state opportunities that are out there. So if I, having some slight familiarity with this, we had a meeting conversation, Dan and I was like, I kind of know it, but I never done it, but I know who's done it. So, I would, as moving forward, I would encourage the Board of Selectmen to look at this possibility if we have an opportunity to do so, sort of to take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Do you know what happens if we don't hit the 180-day mark to the property?
That I don't know.
My thought is if we're, going through the permitting process, I see all the benefits, of course, right? We want to attract developers in, we want them to better our town, and of course, any tool we can give them to allow them to get grants and invest. I get all that and I see all the positives. I'm just, when you go through permitting, we're making sure that we're complying with all the laws and that we're not cutting corners. So if we're coming to crunch time, I'm just curious what happens at crunch time, because we want to make sure we still follow the permitting process.
And that's why I encourage Dan. I know it just a little enough to know what it is.
Right.
And it's funny, they walked in and Leanne goes, oh, Dan wants to do 43D. I said, oh, expedited permitting. And she's like, how'd you guys? You just know it. And that's about the extent of it. So we would have to do some research on it, right before it's presented to the board to put forward a property. What does it mean? What does it all mean? I know there are a lot of positives associated with it, but I'm sure there are some criteria of what happens if you don't meet the expedited permitting. I know in normal zoning permitting, I think it's 60 days after the public hearing, and if a decision is rendered, you sort of get it automatically.
Mm-hmm.
So so I would suspect it might be something like that, but I can't speak to that intelligently at this point.
Okay, thank you. This property is zoned commercial, is that what?
It's zoned industrial.
Zoned
Okay, it's two zonings, it's industrial and it's industrial overlay, which are actually allow for different options, either by right or by special permit, so.
So there's no option for housing there, it's gonna be.
No,
Industrial.
it's zoned industrial, yeah.
Okay, and when, you said this like 6 businesses or so there now?
That I know of, I don't have a complete inventory, and I base that off of people who have pulled business certificates, the assessor's office. I haven't been in there and talked to everybody, so.
So that area of town could potentially really change depending on what goes in there, the traffic and depending on what business takes over. So that's, you're right, as far as whatever developer bids on that property, it could certainly really change that neighborhood. Have you heard of any interest in it? No.
I will say that this is I think it's probably on multiple websites. The primary one that I've seen it advertised on and that I reached out to the realtor through. If you look at the number of page hits it's gotten 11,000 page hits.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's just page hits on a website by people scanning. That doesn't mean 11,000 people are interested in purchasing it, but it's being viewed, it's out, it's being known. The realtor is not telling me how many people he's got signed up. I think you have to register in advance to participate in the auction. But I don't know how many, if any. I mean, the worst thing possible is that no one's interested and the place just defaults.
Right.
And then that would be a major headache for this town.
Mm-hmm.
Cost as well. I don't know exactly what the fallout of that would be, but it would not be a good thing.
Are you here in your capacity as industrial development or planning board?
Industrial development.
Industrial development. Has that
Economic development.
economic development? I like that.
No.
Yes, I like economic development.
Okay.
Has your committee discussed working with Serpent at all on this for ideas on 43D? Can they help with advising on this law?
It's possible, to be honest, as far as we've gotten is we'd like to rush to say something positive about it in front of the Realtor before December.
Okay.
Everything after that is who's the new owner, what are their plans, if there is a new owner, town meeting, what would be involved in that. So we haven't gone that far down the road.
So the positive that I heard tonight was it certainly gives more tools in the tool chest for a developer who wants to invest in our town and, opens up some grants to them. I'd say we still have some unknowns, but this sounds like there's plenty of time to work that all out. Thank you.
I know it's more than 50,000 square feet. Are there other outbuildings with that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
Actually, 550,000.
550,000.
530, something like that.
And the criteria you have, who appoints the point person?
The point person for the,
A project, like if this was to go through,
like in order to coordinate all the boards to make sure.
Right, is it the planning board?
It goes back to that either draft or document that was created back in 2015 about how the boards would align.
Yeah.
And as I said, I don't know if that probably needs to be dusted off again.
Sure.
And looked at, but it was basically a plan for how to make that happen. I'm not sure which board, if any, was appointed as the primary carrier, but it probably would have been the planning board.
Right. I know you're in a rush, so I won't keep you, but thank you.
I do have one more comment. I'd say that my feelings are that, and I imagine the boards is we're looking forward to work with any business and have discussions with any business that wants to come into town. That is, of course, a priority. We just heard in our tax rate setting that we shift a lot of our tax burden to businesses and we're lacking them. So we would love to see someone come in and revitalize that area of our town. Thank you.
Thank you.
You might as well stay here.
I have to.
Oh, you have to go, right?
Planning board.
Okay. Dayton Lions Club. Tom, you here? I know Dan's leaving. And David, are you coming up? For the Lions Club?
Oh, yeah.
Good chair, could you just pause?
Yeah.
I mistake it says
The meeting I have to go to, unfortunately, starts now. It's going to be at most 10 minutes.
Okay,
If you don't mind taking this out of order, and I can be back in 10 minutes.
sure. Is that all right with you, Tom?
I'm supposed to be chairing a meeting at 7 across town.
You can leave.
Well, let's jump to yours, Tom, then. We'll take this one out of order to the Dayton Lions Club and just go to the superintendent of the highway for the Purple Heart signs.
I'll make a motion to take the agenda item for the highway superintendent. Authorization to place a Purple Heart sign, town signs and public roadways out of order.
Motion has been made. I'll step down as chair in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Tom.
So I've been advised that our town is now a Purple Heart community. And I was asked to articulate where possible sign placements could be, because you guys have the authority to have the signs erected. I can't just randomly put them out there. I would like to suggest in the areas of where the Medal of Honor signs recently went up in the recent past. There are 6 locations. One at when you enter from Berkeley on Center Street, one on Route 44 when you come in from Rehoboth, both ends of 138 and both ends of Williams. So that would be 6. Those seem to be the 6 most active trees of town. I think there's actually 17 roads that you enter at town, and I don't want to hit all of them.
Oh, we can't do all 17 at one time. What about where, you have the current, landscaping from, with the lions, those signs?
So those are fine. They're not where you enter the town.
No, but a lot of people travel.
Yes. So, yes, we're in the process of getting one at Center Williams. That's very active there.
Yep.
That actually, when you're looking across the intersection, that may be a good location. The other new location would be Forest and Tremont.
Yep.
And then, as you know, Warner Boulevard is where the other one is, and at the old police station is where
Yeah.
the one is.
Yeah, the Warner Boulevard one seems to make a lot of sense. There's a lot of traffic, people coming in from Taunton.
Correct.
Well, okay.
If I remember the presentation correctly, the Purple Heart presentation said that these signs would be placed as you're entering and exiting the town. Is that how you remember the presentation? So Forest at Tremont wouldn't really meet that criteria.
No, the other end of Forest would.
Mhm.
So I'd like to gravitate towards where the Medal of Honors, but not right that same pole, just the general area.
Yep.
We don't want to litter the community with signs either, because then you become, kind of callous to, reading what you're driving into.
Right.
And those locations also have the right to farm signs also.
Right. What size are the signs?
I believe they're 18 by 18.
That's smaller than what we had on display that night, right?
No, those are the ones
Those are the ones we're going to use. I know I had given it to Ralph today. That's 18 by 18. Wow.
Because of the color though, they're louder than the Medal of Honor. The Medal of Honor are white with a light blue.
Okay. Just a review, discuss, and act, Mark, if you have any more comments.
I'll make a motion to authorize the highway superintendent to place the Purple Heart town signs in public roadways and to, with an emphasis on that they should be in highly traveled locations throughout the town at town lines. As adjacent to town lines as you can.
How many?
You recommended 6?
Yes.
I'll step down, Chair, in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go back to the bleachers. Tom, Daniel, and David. Tom, are you leaving?
Let me introduce Dan.
Okay.
So currently I'm the president of Lions.
Right.
The agenda says a donation. We don't have a donation at this time.
Okay.
Dan's going to get into the nitty gritty, and he's the point person for the club for this project. It's a possible joint venture. And with that said, I'll turn it over to Dan.
Thank you.
So the Dayton Lions are proposing a joint project with the town to rebuild the bleachers on Spratt Field. And this is a project that was first raised by Lion member Ed Olney earlier in the year in response to liability concerns that Selectman Pacheco had raised about the bleachers. Lions Club is prepared to not only contribute funds to the project, but also, with the town's blessing, just oversee the project in collaboration with the town planning, fundraising, implementation of the rebuild. In terms of the cost, probably that's going to be more than any one funding source that can provide for the proposal to you. So at this point, this is really a proposal to just gauge your interest level. So I don't have any actual estimated costs. But if you agree with the proposal, that'd be one of the first things we need to scope out. The cost would stem from a few categories: the removal of the existing bleachers, working through design and selection, including building style, best construction method for our purposes, material costs, construction or installation costs. And the funding sources would come from a variety of places, which helps because not every source can be used for every purpose. So we'd be looking for any grants that are available along the lines of recreational facilities or ADA components. Those are usually partial. They may not cover the removal of existing bleachers, and they may not cover the design. The CPC would be an option and could be used for most of those, but the CPC does have competing interests. So really what the Lions Club is willing to do is make a substantial contribution towards that cost. And since we don't have a fixed dollar amount at this point, since it's just a proposal, I don't have a dollar of what that substantial contribution would be, only that we have agreed in principle to do that. And we'd also be willing to help scope out those costs, plus volunteer for the service side of tracking down grants, working with any town representative you might appoint to help work with us to align with feedback from other stakeholders, the design selection, working to minimize future maintenance costs, which I know is a concern of Mr. Ferry's, how we're going to use the contractor, help coordinate between different departments and suppliers, and basically see anything else and that's needed to get work through the project. I think the volunteer labor and oversight just not only helps reduce the labor costs from outside consultants or from having to utilize town employees' time, but it just helps ensure that everybody involved comes with the same perspective of wanting to do what's best for the town. We would definitely need a point person to work with, so to make sure that everything we're doing is adhering to what's in the town best interest, as well as working with the ADA coordinator and giving periodic updates back to the Board of Selectmen. And as I mentioned in the letter that I submitted requesting tonight's meeting, for many years, the club's been a recipient of the town's generosity in allowing club events in the areas around Town Hall. So restoring and upgrading the bleachers not only allows us the opportunity to repay that generosity, but it's essentially, how we see this proposal, period, since all of our fundraising or most of our fundraising is dedicated to going right back into the town. So if you're in favor of this, the first step would just be exploratory, seeing what our options are. Is there anything specific to the site we need to think about? Big drainage patterns, ideal capacity. It is built against the retaining wall. I have no idea if it's part of the retaining wall. In other words, it's providing even some minimal support. Those are all kinds of things you'd have to think about. But I'd be glad to answer any questions you have.
Sure. So you're talking about complete redo then, not a fix.
Correct. It's Mr. Ferry's opinion that a fix simply at this point would not work, only because it wouldn't adhere properly to the existing concrete. And apparently the what's out there right now used to look much different. There used to be stanchions and wooden benches and all kinds of things, not just the crumbling concrete. So,
Yep. Mark, do you have any questions?
My first thought when I read this was, I thought that Parks and Rec would be a good person to engage or discuss. I believe our chairman of Parks and Rec is here in the audience. So,
Mr. Chairman, can I speak up?
Not yet, please.
so that would be a good person to engage in the process. And we have a new building commissioner that we just appointed tonight, so that would be another one. And I would just say thanks to the Lions for bringing this forward.
thank you.
Well, this is a review, discuss, and act. Obviously, you're in the infancy stage. You don't have any cost yet, other than, like I said, just a complete redo. And thank you for your commitment, because that's in sad shape over there, and it's not friendly at all to use. So I more than welcome the help of the Lions Club in fixing that up. Make more.
Did you want to open this up?
Yeah, we can open up. Kevin, Jonathan?
Hopscotch past Jonathan quick, but probably what he's gonna say. We already started to do some exploration through some ADA grant opportunities, because obviously besides Parks and Rec, Jonathan and I are also involved with the ADA Commission, but the Commission on Disabilities. I know for myself, I can't speak on behalf of my entire commission, but I'd be happy to work with Dan and the Lions Club. And we can bring Jonathan in and start kind of having some of those conversations. We can give Dan some of the information that we've already gathered. One kind of thing that popped in my head is I'm thinking to keep costs down, because I'm looking at my friends from Bristol Aggie. I'm over at Bristol Plymouth. We have DR. My school has engineering. shops, DR has engineering shops, you guys have your landscape design shops. We possibly could put together something that could maybe go under peer review by our town's engineers and save us a ton of money.
Sure.
So maybe we can, brainstorm and explore opportunities, because when we initially looked into some possibilities for some grant funding opportunities that we had come across, we were looking at a grand scope of the whole facility, not just the bleachers, but it was a significant amount in engineering costs.
Yeah.
To talk about that field, the bleachers, all the things down there, so I think even isolating that one piece is still gonna be a significant cost. So I think we'll need to get creative.
Sure.
But I'm willing to
Oh, absolutely.
hop on with him.
Well, we appreciate that. It's not gonna be an easy undertaking, but there's a lot of avenues that we can pursue to help out with this project. Everything from the highway department to the schools, all those different options. But thank you. Yes, Jonathan.
Just similar to what Kevin was just saying, actually, too. We had spoken and started to work with Serpent on looking at different types of grants or engineering studies that could be done for the entire complex. And I think part of our vision, hearing Dan talk about the ADA components so forth too, part of our vision was to create a complete complex in that area that makes it fully ADA accessible. And, in the end, that may involve expanding and redoing some of the playground. It may involve resurfacing the track in that infield area that puddles, as you talked about drainage.
Right.
Certainly the bleachers, access to the bleachers, all that sort of stuff, top levels for persons with disabilities at the bleachers. So we were looking at a big picture, but I think when we were looking at it, what we realized was at that point it was also too late in the funding cycle to put in for those specific grants we were thinking about, because it was time sensitive by the time it really started to come to the potential fruition. So I applaud them for wanting to do this. And I think definitely to bring all of this into the fold, there's a good potential that we can put together a project. It may have to be done in cycles. It may have to be done in certain sections over several years. But it's a project that could totally transform that area down there.
Right. It's unsafe the way it is. And I'm surprised the building inspector prior has not condemned it, because there's cracks in stairs as well as the seats themselves. And I can't believe that, like I said, it hasn't been designated as not being able to use.
It certainly wasn't ADA compliant, but because
No.
nothing was structurally changing, there was nothing I could do.
Right.
So this could be, as I said, this is probably a project for capital fundraising and grants that would be several years in the making to put together.
Sure.
Section at a time, but ultimately, I applaud the process that he's discussing, and has the potential to totally transform that area and transform this whole campus.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anybody else at this point want to be heard on this subject only? No? Okay. This is a review, discuss, and act on.
I'll make a motion to endorse the project as presented, and do you want an initial point person now? Because I think the town administrator might be a good person just to flow information through to the various folks you just mentioned. I would make it the motion that the initial point person is the town administrator.
Sure.
Start.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded. I'm step down as chair in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, guys. Mr. Braga, you're up, sir. Sorry about keeping you here all evening.
That's all right. We'll send you the bill in the mail for overtime.
Yeah.
We appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For having us, Chairman and Selectmen. We appreciate coming here tonight. We're always very thankful to work with the Dayton community, and we've had a long-standing relationship with members of the community for many years. And about 8 years ago, we started playing our softball games behind the field here. We even transitioned our soccer practices here as well. And since we've been using it, we've done some preliminary renovations to it. We brought in some sod a few years ago.
The bleachers? Oh, that's great.
If you're in the room, it happens. You get projects. But essentially, we've been very fortunate to be able to use the field. The town has always provided access to us. And over this last year, we've had a lot of conversations with Mr. Farrow, Mr. Smith. This is Matt Bean, he's our landscape foreman, and Keith Pulaski's our athletic director. And we tried meeting this spring to talk about if we could get something kicked off over the spring to do some work. And we didn't have any funding. We were talking, do we have anything at the end of the year? Did he have anything? Could we scrape anything together? And unfortunately, at the end of the year, we couldn't pull it off. We were very fortunate. We had some projects in our budget that came under cost. We did some repairs to some of our older buildings, mainly some roofing projects that came in under budget. And so we have some money available that we would like to use to offset, well, essentially not offset. We're going to supply the funding for the cost. So Matt has done a lot of the research. He's done a similar project in his town. And in supplies, it's about $13,000, probably in total $20,000 that the school is looking to invest for. You probably have there the drafts in front of you, but I'll let Matt kind of explain what the plan is.
Sure. Yeah, so I came from Swansea. I was a park superintendent there. We had 7 baseball fields there, and I replaced quite a few of the fences there. I've done over thousands of feet of fence, multiple backstops and stuff. So basically what we're looking to do is kind of keep it the same footprint, because we know it's a multi-use field. We don't want to change anything on the field itself, so we're going to keep it basically in the same footprint. A couple of things we want to do is to make it a little bit safer. Some of the fences is curling, just years and years of using it and stuff like that. Very common. Upgrade it with some commercial fencing. So the bottom of the backstop will be a 6-gauge fence, which is a thicker gauge fence. So when balls hit it and stuff like that, it doesn't want to curl back out. Put a couple of extra rails in it, which will help keep it tight and not loosen up. Where the dugout fences are right now, they kind of offset from the backstop. So you have poles kind of like open in the player field. So we're going to close that up and put a gate there. We're going to close in the dugouts. So it keeps the players away from families and stuff like that, which is a very common thing that they do now. And then if we are able to put like a little roof on it too, so keep the weather off the players and stuff.
Right.
The front of the dugouts are going to be 10 foot now instead of 6 foot, so it makes it a little bit safer for foul balls, and just basically upgrade what's there. The backstop poles themselves will stay. I'm going to clean them up, paint them, because they're in really good condition. There's no problem with the poles themselves, so we're going to clean those up, paint those, and then just put new netting on that.
Awesome. Are you going to put the safety things over the fences?
It's going to be high enough to where you don't need to do that. Yep, anything over 6 feet, you don't need it. 6 feet and taller. Anything under 6 feet, you need the safety rail on the top. That just to stop people from going over the top and getting hurt on it.
Right.
All the fencing will be knuckle too, which right now has barbs on the bottom, which is what they were usually. It's like a fish trap where you go underneath and you can't get back out. So now it has the knuckles on the top and on the bottom, so it's safe. So nobody's gonna get caught on it.
Nice. Great. Thank you. Well, I mean, anything that you can do will be an improvement. And thank you for picking up the tab.
Yeah.
Well, it's so one hand washes another.
Yeah.
If we had to obviously invest in a field on our campus, it would cost us
Sure.
$20,000.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
well, it makes sense. We're right here. It's giving back to the community.
Thank you.
I think we consider ourselves partners.
Oh, absolutely.
We've worked with Kevin on a couple of projects and it's been great. So.
Okay, cool. Mark, do you have anything at this point?
I think I do for our town administrator. Would this project require a permit to be pulled through the building commissioner?
Probably.
And do you know if the building commissioner can waive the fee for that, or is that done through the board of selectmen? It's through the building commissioner? Okay, because that would be nice to see.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, we have one member in the public.
Sure.
Yeah, if I may, just to kind of answer Selectman Pacheco's question. So we upgraded the fencing at the North Play Ball Field a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
And it did require a permit, but when it's done on town property, the permitting process and the fee is
Right.
easy and.
Yeah, and it's waived.
Fee is waived.
Okay, perfect.
So that too, and just to kind of add to their piece too, I had the opportunity to meet with everyone from Bristol Ivy and the town administrator in the spring, and even Parks and Rec would be our end of the year budget like we did. We ended up buying we do have the new benches sitting.
Oh, nice.
When the
Oh, good.
dugouts are done, we have benches to go.
Oh, awesome.
Great.
So you did the ones in Swansea across on Route 6?
Yep, goes from Route 6.
Those came out nice.
High school, yeah. It was the backstop, the poles, we had a custom order from Mayor Fence in Boston. They were 28 feet long because it's a 24-foot backstop. It was like 4 feet in the ground and 24 feet out of the air. And we did it over the winter time and a couple of guys from the highway department and some lifts.
Came out nice.
Yeah, they came out really good.
Okay.
I think we are looking to do the work.
This spring?
This winter.
This winter?
Yes.
We're looking to get started soon,
Yeah.
Okay,
if possible.
sure. Well, we have a new building inspector, so it'll be one of his first projects.
Perfect. Yeah, once we get all the leaves cleaned up, we'll have a little open time to.
Right.
Yeah.
March 20th starts the spring season, so
Wow.
then the ground might be too frozen for us to
Right.
do any work.
Frozen.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
My only other thought is maybe just work with the highway department about coning that area off to keep.
Absolutely.
That area. All right, perfect.
Yes.
I'd make a motion to approve Bristol County Agricultural High School proposal for fence improvements at Carl Spratt Memorial Field as presented with thanks and appreciation.
Thank you.
Just step down as chair and second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you. Announcements. You want to read them, Mark? You want me to read them?
I'll read them. There's a townwide parking ban in effect from November 1st, 25 to April 1st, 26. No person shall allow any vehicle to remain in the street so as to obstruct snow removal. The Dayton Lions Club Food Bank has 2 distribution dates coming up. One will be held on Monday, November 24th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. and then Saturday, December 20th. Both located at Town Hall, 979 Somerset Ave, lower level. Dayton Lights On 2025 will take place on Saturday, November 29th. Hot chocolate, cookies, popcorn, and hot dogs. Event begins at 3:30 p.m. Be sure to bring a camera for photo of Santa. So we look forward to seeing our chairman and hopefully Ralph to sing with the dignitaries. On Thursday, December 4th, 2025, starting at 6 p.m., you can make a holiday cheer in full bloom festive wreath sponsored by the Dayton Historical Society at Arujos Farms, 1522 William Street. $50 per person and includes all materials. Pre-registration required, 508-669-6988.
Thank you. This is a first of 2 public inputs. Is there anybody?
Laura Maderas, Laura Armstrong, 1645 Maple Street. I wanted to speak, originally I was going to speak about our cable upgrades, and then I have something I prepared as well that I think will transition nicely from your prepared reports too. We did get upgrades. I'm sure you see there's no microphones on your tables aside from the Zoom microphones. These 2 strips on the ceiling are your microphones. That is what catches, truthfully, this whole room because of the way you can hear the echo. Unfortunately, there was an issue, of course, as we upgrade, there's always some issues. So tonight's meeting is just recorded on Zoom, but going forward, we actually got our tech on the call. He walked us through how to fix it. So moving forward, that will be how it works. So I just want to stress to the public that when you're here and a meeting begins, it's as you hear the words hot mic, it's a hot mic really for the room. So if you're in the audience, just to keep chatter to a minimum because it will catch. And just so people don't think you guys aren't being recorded, there's actual microphones in the ceiling. And then from a personal standpoint, I think it will kind of transition nicely. And I do appreciate you both speaking about the special town meeting. I wanted to speak as a resident and for the residents. We turn to this board for factual truths and information and to have our voices and concerns heard. After watching the special town meeting, I did feel that that was forgotten, specifically regarding that warrant article to fund the remainder of the COA parking lot. I do think that because an immediate motion to table was made by this board, which does not allow for discussion, and there were also some false statements that were made. But thankfully, the motion to table failed, which did allow the public to have discussion, and ultimately the residents did speak in favor of funding that warrant article. I know it is not easy to sit in your seats, but you did sign up for this. The residents have voted each of you in, and there is a big responsibility that comes with that. I do ask that you keep in mind that we're all counting on you, all the residents, to speak accurate information, to listen to all of our concerns or ideas, whether it's verbally, by letter, or whichever platform is being used by that resident to reach out to this board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to be heard at this time? Hi, Nancy.
So I heard from PMC. So it was another banner year. They raised $78 million, the bike ride. My team, Eric, personally raised $22,500, and that was a record for him. The first time he rode in 1994, he raised $903. And the other thing I will just add is that with the 78 million that they raised this year, the total amount that has been donated to Dana-Farber since this program began is something like 1.125 billion with a B. I mean, that's incredible.
Sure.
So I just wanted to give everybody an update. Thank everybody in Dayton again. Next year, it'll be the first Saturday and Sunday in August, as always. But it just goes to show how so many people doing so much, and you don't have to be the big donors, even volunteering time in that, it really adds up. And by doing volunteer work, it frees up others who may not be able to be there physically, but can donate money. So very, very good. Wanted to give you an update on a couple of items. The flags. I saw your meeting when the Historical Commission talked about recognizing Catherine Gomes-Yell, who created that. I reached out again, sent another email to her sister and asked her, told her about the event and about the honor and about the plaque that's going to be installed, and asked her to reconsider my request again for the vector file, and suggested that if she needed more information on that she get in touch with Pat Gales to find out about it. I haven't heard back from her yet, but it just went out. It wasn't because I didn't know it when it happened. It was, I found out that the plaque, it was several weeks after your meeting. So I'm waiting on that. My other thought is, if I am not successful in getting that vector file from the originator, or the person who has custody of the originator, I'm putting out a request to anyone in Dayton who is a drafts person. And my request is, would you be willing to create a vector file based on that flag? What I need is the seal. Obviously, the cloth, if you will, the blue background it will sit on, that's not the main issue. What we need is that seal duplicated in a vector file. And somebody that does drafting knows what I'm looking for. And I don't know if they can do it with CAD. I'm not into all of that, but I know that there is CAD, computer assisted design. So again, if anyone has the skills of a draft person and is willing to donate some time, please get in touch with me. You can contact me at the assessor's office or at my home, any way at all. But without someone, if I cannot access that file, which is what I did to create the book, I don't really know what we're going to do. I know there's a company in Connecticut that makes flags and does that sort of thing. But the person that I contacted for the flags in Bedford is willing to do it. But the cost to create the vector file and the cost of 3 flags puts this well over $1,000. It's just prohibitive.
Yeah.
So I haven't given up. I just want you to know I'm gonna keep pursuing until I get, even if somebody is willing to create a vector file at a reduced price. I don't know, I know what she wanted to charge us. But anyone who's willing to do anything, I really would like to hear from them. I was really glad to hear about the work on the field because in my younger days, I spent a lot of time on that field as a student athlete.
Just a couple years ago.
Yeah, right. Only a few more cracks in the blacktop. A lot of good memories out there. But the other thing that's very significant about that from a historical standpoint is that whole area out there, I call it the football field, the oval, that whole thing, that was created during the administration of Franklin Delano Roosevelt as part of a works progress. You know, when he was trying to get the country back to work after the Depression, and they put in these construction projects to get people back to work and all of that. And it's a very significant structure, I'll call it. And it blended perfectly with the old high school, which sat right over here. And the lower level of the high school was walkout because that was the vocational high school. And again, that opened, I believe, in 35 or 36. But the town was very, very fortunate back then to have that kind of assistance from the federal government as a governmental project that ended up in something that's lasted all of this time. I mean, we're coming up almost 100 years that it's been there. And when you look at it, I think to myself, yeah, it's got cracks and all that, but it's lasted a long time. And literally, probably thousands and thousands of people use that. And so to hear that it's going to be worked on and improved, repaired, whatever, because if we were to lose it, I don't know what we'd do for facilities as getting the town together, because it's used for so many events, you know? So it truly is an asset for the town. And so I'm glad to see it going forward. And the last thing I have to report is the 2026 calendar.
I was going to ask you about that.
In the works. I'm hoping to have at least 200 for lights on. But the final edition has been okayed. Through email, I talked to the teacher this morning, and she said they were going to go to work on it. And the good thing is we have, I think I counted at least 4 new photographers, people that expressed interest and submitted pictures that we could use. And so the other thing I'm saying tonight is we're looking for pictures for 27. We're hoping to get all the pictures together for 27 before school closes in June. Because then when it opens in September, they'll say, here are the pictures. They can do the calendar grid. All I have to do is update it for events we list that are really relevant to Dayton.
Sure.
We did add the Purple Heart Day. We added the Congressional Medal Day. Of course, we added Dayton's birthday last year. We put the Lions Township. So anyhow, anyone who has a photograph that they're willing to share, email it to me, ngoulart@comcast.net. We prefer horizontal pictures because the calendar is horizontal. If you send a vertical picture, we have to squish it to make this. And sometimes when it gets squished, the size, it gets distorted. So no people, no buildings, natural, whatever. But I think you're going to like this one. There's some really, really, really pretty pictures.
I'm sure.
So a gentleman from the Highway Department submitted one. And actually, we have a picture of a stormwater forebay that was constructed on Richmond Hill. And obviously very steep, very high, rocky. But that was submitted by a construction inspector that's working on the project up there. So we've got, outsiders can send pictures too. It's just the pictures have to be from in town.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Very informative, Nancy. Thank you. Selectmen's reports, you have?
Yeah, a few things.
Yeah.
Special town meeting update, just a special town meeting update. The 19 articles, all of them passed. The 2 articles which require the petition to the general council. Working on that, I'm working with the state delegation to get them, the certification of the, to take land out of the chapter 97 for the Pleasant Street Bridge, and secondly to increase the special officers to 870. So you know, Cheryl's working on the certification, send that to state legislation, and hopefully we could get that moving. I just wanted some clarification from special town meeting when the chief was speaking about the HVAC system. I just want to let the public know, and for the record, the material that was used in the original HVAC system, they were new. It was new products, but the thing is, it's aging technology. Recently the HVAC system was under warranty, but recently it went through. There were several spikes. Power spikes in the grid, which caused the HVAC system to shut down. Unfortunately, as technology advances, they tried to update the technology, but because the technology that was in there was now old, they couldn't update it. And I think a good analogy was like trying to put an app on a flip phone. So kind of that's where they are with that, and I think that was better, sort of a better explanation why the town had needed the upgrade the HVAC system. It was just the technology that we had in there, which was current at the time, just can't support current technology. One other thing, at our next selectmen's meeting. Just to back up a little bit on the Dayton School Building Committee. Myself, Eliza Couture, and Superintendent Rooney. We're part of the MSB for the designer selection, which we had selected Tower Street to design the new grammar school, Dayton Grammar School. So that will be the award of that, and the contract for that will be coming before the selectmen at the December 10th meeting. It's a standard state contract, and it will be within what was appropriate. The funds are going to go through the negotiations, but it can't exceed our appropriation for it. And then lastly, on the report, we had someone had reached out, a resident of the town of Dayton reached out to Representative Thurber, and saying that they felt they have children who go to the middle school, and they felt that there was an unsafe crossing at Center Street 138, Route 138. So I was thinking 138th Street, that's the Bronx, it's way different. So it is a state crossing. So they're looking, the Mass DOT is looking possibly to upgrade that crossing, put better traffic lights. So that request usually, initially should come from the selectman's office. So if it's this consensus from the members who are here, I could just write that letter, write that letter on your behalf, just to get this ball rolling.
Sure.
That's all I have for my slide.
Okay. As part of the selectmen's report, I was going to ask, Well, two things. One of the things that you just mentioned is about the school. Does that mean the renovation or addition is off the table because you're going to a new school?
No, the design.
That has to happen too?
Right, they're reviewing, whether it's gonna be, add reno, addition, renovation, or a new school.
Okay.
So that's part of the design.
Yeah. And then my other comment was, can you shed some light on the Dayton bags in Hannaford?
Yeah.
We've heard from residents who are upset.
Right.
Hannaford has put out their own press release, so to speak, as to why Dayton is not servicing them, which is not true.
You know, as you recall, a few weeks ago, you had signed the trash bag contract.
Right.
And what it is, there's an expectation that when retailers get the bags, that we get paid upfront and extremely shortly thereafter. So there was an incident in the past where Hannaford was in arrears for bags by approximately $70,000, and our current health agent, who was the administrator at the time, had to track it down. So we said, well, if you're willing to pay the bags, when we give them to you, we'll be happy to provide you with the bags. So that option is available to Hannaford. We are not stopping them from putting bags in the stores. They just have to pay us. As you could well imagine, especially in our fiscal condition, $70,000 is a lot of money. So we cannot, we can't afford to have such an outstanding bill. So we are not prohibiting Hannaford from stocking the trash bags, selling the trash bags. We'd be happy to we'd be happy to sell them the trash bags and be a retailer for us. We just have to, pay
Right.
for them. And that's, and
It's a little bit different than what Hannaford is saying.
I would imagine, I'm sure, probably people from Hannaford, that's probably not coming from the home office, it's probably coming from, people who are on the floor and.
Yep.
And, we've made,
Sure.
this is it. We're happy to work with you, but, we haven't heard anything back, so.
Okay.
Are they current with their bill?
They are current with their bill. Yeah, we made, yeah.
Bill. The other contracts that we signed for trash bags, are they all net 30?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, we haven't had any significant issues with our other retailers. They're smaller, they don't order as many bags as Hannaford, so.
Okay.
But everybody, as I know, that it's passed up is up to date, and that's why.
Mr. Chairman, just listening to that and knowing how corporations work, even though I'm totally in the public sector, but I feel that most of them probably wouldn't agree to a net 30, anything other than net 15 or 30. If it was a mom and pop, they can kind of make their own, exceptions, but I feel like in a corporate environment, it might be really hard for Hannaford's to agree to that. I know that they were purchased by a larger retailer in the grocery sector. I don't know by who.
Eagle that owns them.
Okay.
Stop and Shop, basically.
And I know with that transition that they, when there's a buyout and you have that merging of finances, things get behind, or at least it did in this case, and it hurt the town. Do you think we should put that back on the agenda I think it's going to escalate to a point where we have a lot of residents here, because although I love us supporting the other small businesses in town, I'm sure Hannaford is our probably the prime place to get trash bags.
Right. Two things concern me. One is if we offer them net terms, we'll have to offer it to everybody else, I would assume.
I think I just heard everyone else has net 30.
Yes, but if we give Hannaford an extended to 90 days, because that's what corporates do, do we have to offer that 90 days to everyone else? And two, I'm not opposed to doing something like that, as long as there's a cap, that if they get so much behind, then we're going to have to say, 10,000, I'm just making that number up, that if the bill gets up that high, then we have to stop supplying them.
My thoughts are, I think it would, if it's net 30 and they're behind even a day, we simply don't replenish until they get current. And then there would probably be breaks in service for our folks who buy bags, but you know, at least they would be supplied on a more regular basis, and it kind of holds them to their end of the bargain.
Yeah. No, what do you think, Ralph?
I think it's something that, it's something we can revisit.
Yep.
Have a discussion with, the Board of Health and our town accountant, and we'll take a look, and we'll bring it forward in relatively short order.
Yeah, we'd have to discuss with Hannaford as well.
Yeah. I think, first, what are we, how far are we going to go out, and make sure we're okay with that, and then sort of put that proposal to Hannaford. So.
Well, there's a lot of other outlets, but I think
Hannaford's
they probably sold the majority of them.
Yeah.
It's an inconvenience to some people. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Town Hall is becoming the largest retailer for.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see that on our next agenda.
Okay, on to new business. This is a review, discuss, and act, schedule of Board of Selectmen's regular meetings from January 2026 to June 2026. Is there anything that?
Just want to look at it again.
It's
Pretty-
second and fourth.
Right.
It's consistent.
I would just say once we hit April 22nd, maybe just allow if whoever incoming selectman has any concerns with these, that we
Sure
discuss it at that time. Otherwise, I'm prepared to make.
Yeah, it looks fine to me. But yeah, if you want to make that motion.
Make a motion to accept the schedule for the Board of Selectmen regular meetings as presented.
I'll step down as chair and second. Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Appointment of Ralph Fataco, the town administrator, as a liaison to the Fire Station Building Committee.
Is this taking my spot?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. The meetings are during the day between 1 and 3, and I can't.
Yeah.
They meet regularly, which is amazing, but I can't take that time off of work that frequently.
Okay.
So thank you for taking that.
No, I go there anyway. They're winding down and should have a report to the board probably January.
Awesome. So I'll make a motion to appoint Ralph Fataco, town administrator, as liaison to the Fire Station Building Committee.
I'll step down as chair and second. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Award of bid, Town of Dayton fiber optic installation, R.W. Bryant, Plymouth, Mass.
Sort of a brief background, as you recall, they grant fiber optic installation to part two. We had the first fiber optic installation 2 years ago. This is the increased redundancies with for the first responders, for the communication system, and also it's communication to ACO's office and then the transfer station shed to increase that. So we received the grant for approximately $180,000, and then we had set aside $2,000. We had for part of the matching grant for police detail. Well, we got the bids in. R.W. Bryant, who had done the previous installation, came in as the lowest responsible bidder for a 48 count installation and 143 count. So my recommendation to you is one, award the bid to R.W. Bryant, and then second, to authorize me to execute the contract.
Sure.
And I'm available at any.
Okay, Mark, do you want to make that motion?
What was the amount?
143,956.
143,000?
143,956.
Okay. Is there a reason why the bid wasn't included in our packet?
I had to double check. I have the bids right here. I didn't because I didn't know if the contract sometimes they have everything. I had to double check to make sure the contingency wasn't added sometimes. When you have a contract, you do like 5% contingency up or down. But the exact bid, we're gonna do the contract for the exact bid.
Okay.
I have the bid sheet if you want it, and have it available. So.
Just in general, I think award money for the selectmen, if you can provide it to us. I also think it's good for the public to have an opportunity to review large sum of money. So that's my feedback on it. Otherwise, you are a chief procurement officer and I certainly trust the process and all of that. I'm not saying that just for transparency, I'd like to see it. But I have no doubts that this is fine. So I'll make the motion to award the bid to R.W. Bryant of Plymouth, Mass, and ask that the contract is sent via email to the selectmen for their records as well.
Okay, I'll step down as chair in second. Motion has been made and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the warrants.
I'll make a motion to approve the warrants paid by November 13th, 2025, 2826 for $121,221.56 and 20B-26 for $415,354.90. Warrants paid by November 20th, 25, 21A-26 for $126,639.26. 21B-26 for $184,101.37. And lastly, warrant 21C-26 for $3,350,477.49.
I'll step down as chair in second. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
There is no correspondence, so on to the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes of October 22nd and November 5th, 2025.
I'll step down as chair in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a,
Oh, sure.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, thank you. Same to you. That's right. We're not meeting. Wow. It's here already.
Yes. Next week.
motion to adjourn.
I'll step down as chair in second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thanks, David.
Once again, we just put this table in, so we want with them while you guys have the meeting.
Yeah, I saw that.
The table for accounting for
Hey.